So it looks like we've managed to get the car setup done. It looks like we've got a car script done. The next thing was the wheel script that we were planning on doing. So weirdly enough, when you do cars, the vehicle itself controls all of the 4 or however many wheels your vehicle has, but it doesn't move them, even though weirdly enough in Go.Engine it does. If you put a mesh on as a child of a wheel, it just moves it around, but for some reason in Unity you don't get that luxury, I suppose it's so that you can have more control. So we do need to write wheel script, so we're going to get straight to that. So we're going to just inside our scripts folder, we're going to create a new C# script, and I'm going to call it a spectacular thing called wheel, and then we're going to start writing. Now, I'm not going to make the same mistake as I made last time. I'm actually going to attach it to all 4 wheels. So if you hold Control and select all 4 wheels, and then you drag across to the right hand side, in the inspector, it should have added the wheel script onto all 4. Now let's just check that they are, yep, they are all on all 4, and then we can double click on the wheel script and get started. Now let's think about this, and as we think we'll write some comments. So we want to move the mesh child object along with the wheel collider. So pretty simple. So I need to obviously get the wheel collider. So I'm gonna say I mean, there's a couple of ways I could do it. I could make this public, or I could just find it in the start function. So I'm just gonna find it. Actually, I'm gonna say, I'll call it WC, and then in the start function we'll just say WC equals, and then we'll get component wheel collider. So this will be on this the game object with the wheel collider. So we should get that component. We also need the mesh. So I just need the transform because I need to move it around, so set its position and rotation and scale. So I'm going to say transform, and I'm just going to call this mesh, which is why not. And with this one it's going to be a wee bit tougher. So if we look back into Unity here, we have a wheel collider, and then we have, as a child of it, a mesh. Now we just want the transform of that mesh, so we need to find the child that has this component, the mesh renderer component, but we want to find the transform of that. So in code, let's see if this works. So mesh equals get component in children, and then we'll say it was the mesh renderer component we're looking for, and then we want the transform of that. So yeah, I think that's more or less it. We could test this once we get this bit running. So yeah, the last little bit is that we need to use the information that comes back from the wheel collider in order to set the transform of the mesh. So the way this works, if I just do WC dot, you'll see that there's a get world pose. Is it get world pose? Yeah, get world pose, and it takes in, or it uses the out, the reference method, so it can fill out information on inside of these variables. So yeah, that's really useful. So get world pose, and because this is C#7, we can just say out vector3 pause, and we don't need to define it before we enter here. It's intelligent enough to know that this is going to be filled out by something. So we say out quaternion, which is the type, and I'm just going to call it rot because short for rotation, because it just makes more sense. So this will happen every single frame. sure that'll be okay. I mean, it might be better if this was in fixed update. Fixed update is the physics frame, so I'll put it in fixed update so that it sets the position of the wheel every physics frame, which should be okay. So now we want to set the mesh dot position to be equal to the one that's just filled out, which we called pos, and mesh dot rotation to be equal to the new one we just filled out. So yeah, that's crazy enough to work. So just compile that and then we'll hit play, and it's already been added on, so in theory it should work. There's no errors in the console and the wheels turn. Yeah, that looks like it's working. So yeah, I mean, next step would be to just sort of have a play around and try and tweak these a little bit, and yeah, we'll have a little look at that.